What's up everyone, KRTUjo here, back with some more F1 2021. This time we are going around Baku for our My Team race.
If you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Baku City Circuit then, an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season. Anthony Davidson, a lot of talented drivers out on the track today, but what will stand out for you?
Well, Crofty, my focus is 100% on the front of the grid. Like you said, we're seeing lots of strong competition across those positions, so it would be super interesting to see the fight for that front spot. Personally speaking, I'm hoping for plenty of overtakes.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Daniel Ricciardo has a clear view ahead from pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Max Verstappen and Sainz, Gasly, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, Vettel, Stroll, Antonio Giovinazzi and Leclerc, Raikkonen, Russell, Smith and Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Hamilton, Mazepin and Guilherme Samaia. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Alright, so there we are, starting in P17th. We have a lot of work to do. Our rival is Tsunoda, and he is currently ahead of us, I believe. And I'm pretty sure he is actually currently beating us in the rivalry. So I'd really like to be able to close that gap and possibly get ahead of him, if possible, in the rivalry, as I could really use that acclaim and help our team out, because we really need to get that up so we can get some more finances rolling in to help improve our team and development. So we are just looking at our strategy right now, as we are going to start on the mediums and then go to the softs and mediums again, as long as there is no safety cars. If there is a safety car, that strategy may change throughout the race. We're also going to reduce the amount of fuel we start with to make the car just a little bit lighter at the start of the race, so that maybe we are a little bit more racy throughout and give us the most possible chance of having a good result here today. Don't want to run it too low. I like giving myself about half a lap worth more than the race itself. I feel like that's a good strategy for me. Otherwise, I tend to get a little too close to empty. Here we are going off. Give it a decent start off the line. Going down the first turn with Leclerc and Raikkonen in front of us. We're going to go dive bomb around the outside as someone breaks his wing, and we drive over it, gaining 2 positions. We are now up to 14th, and there is a virtual safety car already. I don't believe I hit anything. I think the car is perfectly fine, except for running over that front wing at turn 1. But here we are, virtual safety car for them to clean up that debris, as we almost have an incident with Stroll under the virtual safety car. And here we are, VSC ending already just after a couple of turns, and we are back to racing. I think I'm just going to stick back and let the pack maybe separate a little bit until I decide to make a move, as we stick on this cam for the first lap to see if anything else happens as we go through this section of the track, this very slow technical section of the track, which is very tricky not to hit that wall right there. Still behind Stroll going on, but we're not falling back too far, so we are leaving us the ability to attack as well, not using too much DRS as well. I mean ERS, my fault. As we go through these turns still roughly around 7/10 behind Smith, as Raikkonen is 4 seconds behind us. So we don't have any pressure behind, so we can play the patient game and just wait for the opportunities to open up and start making attempts at passing people. As we come up to the finishing of the first lap, we managed to keep the car safe and not damage it, which is the key point in the first lap of a race. We move on to lap 2 as we close in on Stroll, and we go down the inside of this turn. We make sure that we try not to make any contact, and we do get past Stroll. Now Giovinazzi is going to be next, which is 6/10 ahead of us, as Stroll is still behind us, only 3/10 behind roughly. We'll see if he tries to make a move on us here soon, or if we are actually able to pull away. Seems like we get a little squirrely there, and Stroll is starting to catch up to us, but we seem to be safe for that turn as he doesn't try to dive bomb us down the inside, which I wouldn't consider anyway. That is a pretty tight turn to be trying to take too wide, as we do make a little bit of a gap, but Stroll's coming back at us. We try to defend that inside as much as possible, and he pulls back about 4/10 behind us now, and we are only on lap 2, so he's not going to have DRS to use against us, as Giovinazzi is 1 second ahead of us. We're going to have to close that gap as Gasly pits, and we get a free position because of that. I wonder what happened to him. As we move on to lap 5, we close the gap to Giovinazzi again. Are we going to look up the inside of this turn? We've already did it once to Stroll. Are we going to do it to Giovinazzi? It seems like we do try to do it to Giovinazzi, and it seems like we actually be able to get it to stick, putting us up into 11th position behind Ocon this time, who's only about 4/10 ahead of us right now, with Giovinazzi roughly around 5/10 behind us. As we move on to lap 10, we finally close on to Ocon here on this straight, and we look up on the inside. Do we take the inside? And we do. We take it, and we leave him plenty of room on the outside, and we get the move done on Ocon, moving us up into 10th position. Now we are behind Sainz, who is 9/10 ahead of us on the medium tires, same as us. Ocon is behind us 4/10, now 5/10 on the softs. Sainz pulls away, is now 1 second ahead of us. Moving on to lap 11, we finally catch up to Sainz on the main straight. We are going to have DRS and see if we can make this move on him and see if we can get it to stick. Will we go on the inside or will we go on the outside? It all depends on how he defends. However, it looks like Tsunoda is going to pit, so that is going to be a free position for us as well. As we look around the outside, when we outbrake him, we leave him room on the inside as well, and we get the move done. Sainz already 5/10 behind us as well. Vettel is next, and we are currently in 7th position, which is a good result, but the race is far from over. Anything can happen. Closing the gap on Vettel just a little bit, as Vettel pits, actually making it easy for us to get past him and move on, putting us up into 6th position. Verstappen is now next. Moving on to lap 16, Leclerc is right behind us. He is charging. He's going to look on the inside of us, and DRS, he gets by us, no issues. As we late brake and we get really close to his rear end, running a little wide and getting a little squirrely through that turn. Not ideal, but we are going to try and catch up to him and see if we can pass him again, as we have DRS on this straight to make the attack back and see if we can get that 6th position back as well. We're a little too far behind, trying to avoid an incident, and I brake a little early just to protect the car. Still behind Leclerc as we go through this right-hander, and he is now 6/10 ahead of us. Moving on to lap 19th, Leclerc still ahead of us, 9/10 ahead of us, and he chooses to pit, and we choose to stay out, taking that position back. Now the question will be is if we get to keep that position after we pit, as we take a nice first turn, and we try to push to make up the time, and hopefully pitting 1 lap later than him, we can do the overcut on him and see if this actually works out. Coming to lap 20, it is now time for us to pit. We are in 6th place currently as Alonso flies by us as we go into the pits, and we are going to have to wait and see where we come out as I slow down a little quick before the line, but I'd rather do that than chance getting a penalty for speeding into the pits, as Leclerc is behind us, and yes, he does safely get past us as well. So we are going to have some work to do to get caught back up to him. We come back out in 13th position with Raikkonen right in front of us, about 1.5 seconds. Moving on to lap 22, we catch up to Raikkonen on the main straight. We are going to have ERS, but we are already right on his rear end, so this should be an easy pass going down this main straight. As long as we make it through turn 1 with no issues, we brake nicely and have a nice entrance and exit into turn 1, and we get the job done. Gasly is next with 5 seconds ahead of us. He is also on the medium tires, so we are going to have a little bit of an advantage there. Moving on to lap 30. Leclerc is in the pits again, so we are going to overtake him again along with Alonso. Gasly is 2.1 tenths or 2.1 seconds ahead of us, and then Vettel, we are currently in 10th position, and we are on lap 31 with 20 laps left to go. End of lap 31. Hamilton is now in the pits, so we are going to pass him. Gasly is still 2.5 seconds ahead of us, along with Vettel 4.5 seconds ahead of us on lap 32. As we move on to the end of lap 32, and we're going to check our rival status as Vettel and Tsunoda both go into the pits, putting us up into P7. Gasly stays out, but that is Tsunoda, that is our rival, so we are currently ahead of him. Hopefully we can keep this advantage over him and get that extra points in the rivalry and maybe put us ahead as we go into lap 33. It is now time for us to pit, I believe. We are going to be going back onto the mediums as we take a nice slow entrance into the pit lane, making sure we do not get that speeding and pit lane penalty, as that is a 5-second penalty. Gasly pits with us. We'll have to see if our pit crew is faster or not. Can we get ahead of Gasly in the pits or not? It is a no. Our pit team is not quite fast enough to get that done. We come out in P12 with Sainz and Stroll behind us, Gasly and Vettel in front of us, and I bet you Tsunoda is most likely ahead of us as well. As we check, yes, they are in 9th. They are 7 seconds ahead of us, so we got some work to do with only roughly around 18 laps to go. Lap 35, let's see what happens here, because Tsunoda is Gasly is way too far ahead of us, but Sainz is right on our rear, and they are going to fly by us with that DRS. We'll see if we can outbrake him, but I feel like he's just going to be a little too far ahead for us to try to do that, as we almost collide with the rear end, having to run wide and avoid that wall, but we stay right behind him as Giovinazzi retires from the session, so something must have happened to his car, as we get DRS to take the attack on Sainz on this straight. Are we going to be able to pass him, or are we going to have to hold off and wait for another time? It looks like we're going to have to hold off and wait for another time to try to get past Sainz. As we go through these sections, we get a little bit closer. We are roughly around 4 tenths behind him. Now it is 5. Going on to lap 38, we have DRS on this main straight. We should be able to use it to pass Sainz just like he did, and then hopefully we can keep the position and maybe create a gap and pull away. As we go to the outside, I really like the outside of this turn as it opens up the entrance, but we run wide, messing that all up, and Sainz almost having an incident with us coming back on track. We are right on his tail now, and we're going to use this DRS in this straight, and we should be able to get past Sainz, but the question is, are we going to be able to keep our braking under control this time and actually hold the position? And it looks like we do a nice job this time around, as that first attempt was a bit sloppy, braking just a little too late and running wide. Our next target is going to be Gasly, which is 6.5 seconds ahead of us, and Vettel 8 seconds ahead of us, We're currently in 12th, so we are not getting any points for the team. But this is our first season in my team, so theoretically, we probably shouldn't be actually scoring in the top 10, but we'll have to see how this race turns out, as it is Baku and anything can happen. We have roughly around 11 laps left to go, and that may seem like a long time, or not a long time, as Sights comes in and tries to go us on the inside around there, and he makes a bit of contact on us and spins out. We'll have to see if he can recover or if he's just going to be out of the session. And no, he is out of the session, and the safety car is deployed. That is a bad spot for a car to be sitting, but the safety car is out, so we are going to most likely go into the pits for softs to try to get that free pit stop and to put us on the softer tire, as well as the soft tire will last us till the end of the race, and it will give us that extra performance boost we need to possibly get a good position out of this race, as we go a little bit aggressive this time into the pits to try to save some time as well. Here we are in the pits, and Raikkonen is 13 seconds behind us, so as long as we can get out in front of Raikkonen, this won't hurt us at all. If we get behind Raikkonen, it may hurt us as well, but our pit crew has a wing, so we might have had some slight wing damage from somewhere. I don't recall hitting the wall. I don't particularly recall hitting anything else, as Raikkonen does pass us, but Stroll pits as well. So we are not going to be terrible. We lost one position, but the pack is going to be grouped back up as we pass the safety car. Lap 40 we are now on, and we are going to skip ahead to when the safety car goes back in. We stay behind to try to do a little sneaky move on Raikkonen to try to just blow by him on the start, but it seems like we messed it up, and there is back markers in front of us, so this is going to make things a little bit tricky as we go side by side with Raikkonen through turn 1, and we do get the job done, but there is more back markers, and we are really late on the brakes, almost running into Gasly, as there is a car left of us almost making contact as well. Lap 44 with only a handful of laps left. Going on to the end of lap 44 on the main straight, we are finally caught up to Gasly. 2/10. We're not going to have DRS because the safety car just went in, so we're going to have to wait a couple more laps for that. But are we going to be able to make a move on Gasly? And we try to go around the outside, and it seems like we're going to be able to make it stick, and our teammate goes into the pits for some odd reason as well. Vettel is now ahead of us, and we get that pass on Gasly done. Vettel is next, and then Tsunoda is ahead of us as well, which is our rival, so I would really like to get past him. Lap 46, we're going to try to make a move on Vettel around the outside here as we late break him because we're on the soft tires. We get really close to that wall. That could have ended badly for us, as Tsunoda is now ahead of us, our rival, as we get close to that wall as well. We are really pushing the car in the end stage of this race with only a couple of laps left. We are finally in P10 in the points. Tsunoda is right in front of us. I can taste it. The rivalry is going to get closer. We were losing it. However, he is right in front of us, and we may be able to get past him in this race and finish ahead of him to help us out in the rivalry. Alonso is ahead of him as well. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that position or not, but I am mainly concerned about Tsunoda. So we are going to push the car as hard as we can in these final laps, try to get by him, and hopefully be able to secure that win over him in the rivalry and help us out. It will also help our team out a little bit because we're currently in the points, so that is going to be a good result for us as we come down this main straight. Lap 46, so we should have DRS. We do. We're going to be able to use that against Tsunoda, but he's also going to have DRS because he's right behind Alonso. So we're going to have to be careful and see what happens in here in turn 1, as he's going to try to go past Alonso, and we're going to brake late and possibly go around the outside of both of them, but we don't. We get stuck behind Alonso, but we at least get by Tsunoda. That is an awesome move and really close driving as we get DRS again for this straight, and we might actually be able to get past Alonso. Thank you for Tsunoda holding Alonso up as we had a three-way battle into turn 1, making that move possible. As we get close to that wall again, we are really pushing this car to the finish. With only a handful of laps left, Leclerc is ahead of us in 7th, 3 seconds ahead of us. I don't think we're going to be able to close that gap and pass him in the amount of laps that are left. He is also in a Ferrari, so his performance is a lot better. As we move on to 51, and I was correct, Leclerc actually pulled away from us, and we pulled away from Tsunoda, who eventually got past Alonso as well. And we are going to finish this race in P8, which is a great result for my team, as we just entered into F1 this season. Lewis Hamilton gets driver of the day, and what a race that was. There was a lot of close battles in there, passing and then repassing and getting past. It was a good race. We did bring out the safety car with Sainz, but honestly, I don't want to say that was my fault. I think Sainz was just a little too impatient on that move, and he went back on the inside in a very risky section of the track. Let me know what you guys think about that one. He wasn't clearly beside me. It was really close. Honestly, I think he just stuck his nose in where he shouldn't have, and it cost him a lot. As Ricciardo takes the win for the Baku race. So, and Bottas in 2nd, with Verstappen in 3rd. So Hamilton is not even in the podium on this race. I do believe he actually started last in this race for some reason. I don't know if maybe he had to take a new engine or whatnot. But yes, we finished in 8th with a fastest lap time of a 142.332, which is the same fastest lap as Hamilton set. But I believe since Hamilton set it first, he continues to hold on to it, as we didn't set it until the very last lap, I believe, as we did a 3-stopper and most people did a 2-stopper. I think it was about 50-50 on pit stop strategies out of the AI. That safety car definitely threw a mix-up, so I know I pitted under it. I don't know how many of them pitted under it, but I think that was definitely the right call. Putting us on the soft tire, we lost 1 position, and we were able to gain a handful of positions on that soft tire, really accelerating us through the field to allow us to finish in P8, getting us 4 points for the team, which is a great result for me. Now we just have to continue to develop this car, and hopefully at some point me and my teammate will be finishing higher up in the points, and maybe one season win the Constructors' Championship and possibly the Drivers' Championship as well. The team's not doing too bad. I most likely am going to have to up the difficulty at some point, as my teammate, yeah, I should be racing close with my teammate, and he's way down there in the order, and we probably shouldn't be racing, beating teams like AlphaTauri, Alpine, and Aston Martin quite yet. And here we are. We get 4 points in our rivalry, as Tsunoda gets 2. Which puts us up to a 9-9. We are now tied with 5 races remaining. The gap gets closer as my acclaim level goes up 1. My teammate's acclaim level goes up 1 as well. And we'll have to see if the team goes up 1 as well. And it does. It goes up to 7. Trying to get that to go up as fast as we can so we can get additional sponsors to bring in more money to help us out with developing the facilities, and to help us out with developing the car. That way we can get up there and try to push to run in the top teams. As we have a little bit of an incident at the facility, this was a kind of a weird one, because it seems like if I agree, I pretty much get an upgrade for 50% off. However, if I decline it, we'll have to wait and see. Come on, go over. I'm probably busy reading the whole thing. There we go. If I decline it, I get 750 resource points. However, if I agree to it, I get a piece for 50% off. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have to wait for it to be developed or if it's just instant. So I'm going to choose to agree and just see what happens, because it's an upgrade, and the car needs upgrades pretty fast. As we look at where we stand, we are third to last, and it looks like that engine cover is going to take about 10 days to develop, but it is a big boost. If that goes through, it might put us up 2 more positions as long as those other teams don't develop anything as well. And there's another engine cover as well that we can develop as well, but we're going to have to wait for that as we don't have enough points at the moment. Not really sure if I try to develop anything else, because 369 points isn't quite much, but we could do a rear wing plate. So we might do that to help out the aerodynamics of the car. It's always a tricky one. That's 66% off, so yeah, I think never mind. Yeah, really need to develop the facilities so I can upgrade more than one part at a time. That would help out a lot. And we definitely need to get up to 10 so we can add an additional sponsor to help bring in more money so we can upgrade those facilities faster. And then as we look at the driver perks, we have all 3 of us upgraded as much as possible, as they're all locked until we boost our claim as well. So we are going to have to wait for that. And I think that is going to be pretty much it for this video. I want to say thanks for you guys watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Our next race is going to be at Canada. Canada is one of my favorite tracks. I really enjoy driving Canada, so hopefully we can have a good result there as well, as we do the last minute little events to help boost the team a little bit. But like I said, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you did. Get all those updates for when I come out with more videos. I will be coming out with the hot lap and setup video for Baku, hopefully tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. See you guys soon.